Anybody has any questions? Go ahead, Joe.
So you're 55, why do you look 25?
Okay, Pat. Yes, Dylan.
All right, so obviously you take a very large amount of action and you have a high risk tolerance.
Yeah.
Were you always that way, or has that been like a muscle that you have worked to grow and to stretch?
Oh, I'm really glad you asked me that. So I come from, my father was the CEO of a drug company in Canada, not in the United States. In the United States, I wouldn't even be sitting here. I'd be a trust fund girl. But in Canada, it's very different. So let me just tell you that. And in my family, right, what you do is you get a corner office and you wear a business suit, and that's success. And what happened to me was I tried to wear that, like that was my success. And when I left college, I went to work in the hotel industry. It never fit. I was wearing a shirt that didn't fit. I was always an entrepreneur. I was born that way. And I tried to fit myself. It was a square peg in a round hole. And so until I actually left like the world of W2, which I did leave in, so I started working in commercial real estate in 2004, I think it was. I worked for C.B. Richard Ellis, which was kind of semi-entrepreneurial. That really was risk because, you know, you don't make any money unless you're actually the one hunting, killing it, and bringing it back. And then when I left C.B. Richard Ellis and I started on my own, what happened was I evolved into the entrepreneur that I was. I was always the entrepreneur because nothing ever fit. And then it was like I was spreading my wings like a condor, and I was like, holy smokes, like this is really who I am. But I will tell you, it is like a muscle. You have to practice it, right? You're like, it's fearful, like, oh my God. My husband, I went home one day after work and he said, you're resigning tomorrow. And I was like, what? Because I'd been talking to him, I'm really unhappy. I don't think I'm making enough money. They're not paying me enough. I'm making them more money and it should be coming, you know, like all the same things that I see everybody nodding, right? And I was scared to leave because I wasn't 100% sure, like, I don't know, am I making this money because I work under their flag, or am I making the money because it's me? I don't know. I mean, I guess I have to test it. And so I left. I struck out on my own, but I was terrified. What if I fail? What, and my husband's very successful. This will be humiliating for me. And I didn't, right? And so it is a muscle. I feel like it's a muscle that you have to grow. So by the time I got to sub 2, that muscle was strong. Like there was the very first, private money partnership, like, can you lend on this? I'm like, where do I wire the money? Let's go. Like, because I knew I wasn't like, am I probably not going to lose my money? And if I do, it's not the end of the world. And actually, now, after a year, none of these deals scare me anymore. But I will tell you, the first $100 million deal, that'll be terrifying, right? Like, oh God, we're buying a multifamily, a 200-unit multifamily. Like, shit, I hope we get it right? Like, you don't want to fail. But I think Jerry Norton said this at community camp. No, maybe Cody Barton and Jerry Norton both said it. They said, if you don't wake up a little bit scared, if you're super comfortable, you're in the groove and you're making money, then you're not really pushing yourself, right? As soon as you step, like when you bought your first sub 2, how'd that feel? Like, whoa, man, we're owning assets now. I mean, wholesaling, you're like, yeah, I can do this in my sleep. But when you started buying assets, weren't you like, okay, like, this is a different game,
yeah.
Right?
Especially with other people's money.
With other people's money.
Yeah, that's another person.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
And then you do it and you realize, like, I'm okay at this. Like, I'm going to be okay. So I would say it is like a muscle that you constantly have to exercise, and then you get comfortable. And if you get comfortable and you're not waking up scared, time to level up. And then Joe and I ended up being partners after that, right? We built a relation. I don't know if we bought. We weren't. I mean, it was amazing.
Like, everybody's doing deals with this person. I didn't do it. Did you tell him, I'm on my way?
But like, that's what he did. It's a perfect example, by the way. Like, if that was your strategy, it was brilliant because we built a relationship and then we bought a house together. Like, it just, right? Like, that's what happens. You just, the byproduct of building a relationship and of helping each other, you will end up in deals and lending and borrowing and doing things with other people that you know, like, and trust. hope that's helpful. Yeah.
So, like, you post on social media with the fund that you won.
Yeah.
How, like, what did you pitch, and like, how does that fund work?
Yeah.
How you got it from? How do you control it?
Yeah. So I'm a member of another group called Black Card. It's a very expensive mentorship on launching a fund. Guys, I bought into membership. Like, I'm in every mentorship you can imagine now. You name it, I spent so much money on mentorships because I realized, I can just buy my knowledge and speed it up, like smart. I was like, it took me a long time to figure that out. So Black Card is the name of the group, and it is a debt fund. So we're raising $25 million, probably mostly from people outside Sub2, credited investors only. And the fund is really a debt fund, so we lend. So if you had a project, let's say you had let's say you had a ground-up construction, right? $1.1 million ground-up construction with an ARV of 2.2. Then you would come to the fund and you would say, hey, I'm trying to buy this, tear down, whatever property. We are first and second position. There's no gap funding. You just come to us and it either meets our parameters or it doesn't. And we give you all the money. We give you the proof of funds. We say, go lock it up. And we give you all the money. The gap funding, everything. There's nothing else. It's expensive. It's not going to be cheap. And then you as the operator, right? You know you can go, because if you have the ability to negotiate, if there are other people negotiating against it, I mean, you have the proof of funds and you can lock it up very quickly. You don't have to worry about the gap funding or anything else. So it's always first position. Unless it's the seller finance, we're going to write into our LPA and our PPM that sometimes in seller finance scenarios, we can be second position if seller finance won't go into second position. And so, yes, it'll be fix and flips. It'll be buy and holds. Probably not subject to, because we would have to be in second position, right? And usually the entry fee for those kinds of purchases is significantly, like if I have $25 million to place, I can't just put 50,000 out, 50,000 out. It'll take too many deals for us to put the money out.
So are you going to have, like, what the criteria are?
Repeat that?
So how will we have access
Yes.
to the fund? Will you have, like, a criteria? Like,
Yes.
check off?
Yeah, and in fact, so it's myself and Whitney and Nathan, and we're going to announce. So we're in the legal process right now, and we're going to announce it to the Sub2 group. And I've asked Pace, by the way, because I don't want to compete with Pace, right? I want to support what Pace does. And he has the Sub2 fund, and he's like, this is amazing, because the Sub2 fund doesn't do this, right? And so as long as it doesn't do this, and yeah, so we'll announce it in the Facebook group, and we'll say, here are the parameters, here's what it needs to look like, and then just send us your deal flow. The convenience for you guys is it's speed, right? And you're dealing with other investors, like we're investors, right? So you're not dealing with hard money that says, well, 2 days before closing, yeah, we've decided not to do that deal. What? Yes.
Sounded just like them.
Yeah, no, so right, that was my experience also. I had the same thing happen. Hard money 2 days before. Yeah, we've decided not to do the deal. What? I mean, we got non-refundable EMD and I need $450,000 in 2 days. Like, so, we looked at that and said, there's a real opportunity here for us to fund all the kind of deals, all in first, second, third, whatever you need, right? Here's the money. It's either a deal or it isn't a deal. And if it's a deal and we are investors ourselves, then we will fund it. Thank you. Yeah. Well, so it was a Black Card event, and we were there for 2 days of sessions, and it was a mock capital raise where we had to run around the room and pitch to all these other fund investors. They're called emerging fund investors. And I don't know, we didn't know we were going to win. We were just running around pitching, and people were like, oh, that sounds brilliant. That's amazing. And what they asked was specifically, how do you get your deal flow? And we were like, we see like multiple deals a day because we're private money lenders. We see a lot of deals. We don't do all the deals because we can't. And so then those individuals said, we'll invest in you. And then we ended up with like $42 million. This is not real money, by the way. This was all it was a mock thing. But they were like, Rhea, you guys are going to have no problem raising money. Because 250 people in this room were all they're like, this is great. We think it's brilliant. I don't know. Great. One more?
You said you were into 3 things. Would you reiterate what those 3 things are?
Yes, sure, absolutely. So I am in land. My land partner, right here, Imelda, She's the one who came to me in November and said, we need to look at land. And I was like, what? I don't even know what we do in land, but okay. And we get into it and we found out we absolutely love it. I have a fund, right? I'm raising a $25 million debt fund. And then I'm a private money lender separately from my 401k, right? So totally passive, has to just lend out on projects individually, like from that entity. And that's really it.
Flip the land?
Well, we'll do whatever makes us the most amount of money. So we'll entitle it. We haven't entitled land yet, but we'll buy it. We'll close in cash. We'll close in cash and entitle it, or we'll just flip it. Just what highest, the most amount of money, right? Or what? Or build on it. Yes, or build on it. I mean, we don't want to build on it, but if anybody here are builders, right? You guys can build on it right there. My new friends, Luke. Amazing. Thank you, you guys.